Good Gabs, sponsored by Skillskin, a nonprofit organization empowering individuals with disabilities through employment. What's happening, Good Gabbers? Another week, we got someone pretty amazing here today. This is Michelle Starry. This is the guru, the main principal of Starry Financial. Michelle, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Heck yeah. Oh, well, thanks for joining us. It's just a real pleasure. How's your morning going?
It's going good. I've got my coffee. I'm sitting here with you. It's
That's
great.
awesome. Man, I just got to tell a story real quick. I love coffee myself, and today was a bad day for me. Like, I've had an espresso machine at my home for, I don't know, at least 15 years. And it's like a legit one, right? So I'm making espresso every morning, and today is the day it gave up the ghost.
Oh, no.
Yeah, so I had already woken up early. It was like a 4:30 morning. That is not normal for me, but my brain was just going, and it didn't happen for me today. So I'm a little envious of that cup.
I should have brought you coffee.
No. Yep. See, that's the secret. Yeah, everybody, I run on caffeine. Caffeine calories. That's the secret to life. Well, enough about me. Michelle, let's talk about you. What's happening in your world? What are you doing in Starry Financial? Just help us understand a little bit more.
Oh, my goodness. Well, the markets have made it very fun and exciting and opportunistic. It's a great job. That's the best thing I can say about it.
How long have you been in this business?
I started in 1999 with Merrill Lynch. I worked with Washington Trust prior to that and worked for Merrill Lynch for 10 years. And in 2009, when the big market crash happened, some things came to light about big firms, and me and another woman who worked with me at Merrill Lynch went, we should do this on our own. We shouldn't be working for a firm. And so we went independent. And we looked at all the different brokerages that you can use to go independent and ended up with Raymond James, who we're really, really pleased with. And we've just been growing since then, and it's been fantastic. I started with just myself, and now I have 3 partners in Starry Financial, and I also provide supervision and oversight for another 4 financial advisors in different satellite offices that run their own businesses independent, and I just help them on the oversight side and compliance side. So yeah, we've grown quite a bit, and I've kind of put my focus now on looking for ways for my company to partner with nonprofits, how I can add some value to the community. I've lived here my whole life and wanted to find a way
born and raised.
All right. And wanted to find a way to kind of take the luck and everything that I've gotten and put it back out in the community. And so I spend a lot of time doing that now. And I still work with my clients. I've got a nice core group of clients that I just love, I adore, and I would never give them up. But yeah, I also spend a lot of time now trying to find ways for us to partner and do sharing of that we've like I said, we've done really well, so we want to give it back to the people that have helped us.
I read about Starry Financial, and part of what you're advertising is the working with nonprofits to help them like manage endowments and some of their money.
Yeah.
Tell us more about that. We got a lot of listeners who are in the nonprofit space.
Yeah, well, we've done that. I've also helped boards figure out how to write investment policy statements, make sure everybody kind of stays on the straight and narrow, figure out how to protect those dollars. I mean, when you're asking people to give, you want to make sure you're doing the best to take care of that money. So I help them do that. And then we also want to help nonprofits by giving them manpower. So I have a community engagement officer who is my daughter, Margaret, and she's worked with nonprofits all over the city, and now she goes in and she works with them even if they need somebody to help event planning. She will go in and she'll help them with an event planning situation if they don't have the money to hire an event planner, We donate that time.
Really?
Yeah, we donate that time. We donate her efforts. She has a master's degree in technical writing, so she can do edit and copy, and she helps anybody that we are partnering with anything like that as well. So
That's incredible. What is driving this inside to, be in service?
I grew up. I grew up in Hilliard, and we had, kind of a tough, kind of a tough childhood. But I worked. I worked a lot from the time I was 14, and
What was your first job?
I worked at Hallmark
All
selling
right.
cards.
Nice.
Yeah. So
And ornaments?
Yes, and ornaments. I still have crates of ornaments. I keep going, what am I going to do with all of these? And, I try to kid myself that my kids will want them, but they won't. And so I'm like, just sell them when I'm gone. I don't want to
Yeah,
know.
but like they're not leaving till I'm gone. Yeah.
Exactly. So I felt very lucky in this community because people have trusted me and I've been given breaks. I mean, like I said, Washington Trust, when I first had my daughter, it was really difficult to go back into the retail environment because I wasn't there at night.
Sure.
And one of my clients at that time, it was Victoria's Secret. I was managing the first Victoria's Secret store here. And she came in and she said, "You'd be a great manager at Washington Trust and you'd be home at night with your daughter." And that's how I ended up in the financial services industry.
Wow.
And then I just loved it. I loved helping people figure out finances. I like putting together puzzles for people. I think everything's about planning. And so that's how I ended up moving to that. And then I got recruited into Merrill Lynch. So yeah, I felt like I'm building something really great. And then at a certain point, I realized if you turn around and share this with other people, you're going to make the community around you better. And
Yeah,
I
you
really
are.
try to help nonprofits that do things that I wish I could have accessed when I was young. And so I identify places that I feel like, boy, if I'd had that, I would have really thrived. And that's why I pick the places I do, the nonprofits I do, the leaders I do. We have amazing people doing amazing things in this
Yeah, we
community.
do.
So yeah, as you know, I mean, I've heard and seen the people you talk to. It's amazing what this small community has to offer.
I know. I'm convinced we can solve any problem here.
Absolutely.
We put us all in a room. We start to figure things out, and we come
Yeah.
together. We'll do it.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely.
So tell us some of the, if you would. I'd love to know, like, who are some of the folks you're partnering with?
So every year I sit down with my team and I choose the top 3, and then I tell them, each of you can choose a nonprofit. Just tell me why and lay out for us how you think our investment in them is going to help the community. And so that has actually broadened even what we do. But for me, the top 3 this year were Terrain, Shades of Motherhood and the Learning Project, and LCS. And there's
Lutheran
Lutheran
Community Services. Okay.
Yes. And they've been in my top 3 for the last 2 years. What they do here is amazing. They not only are helping with, they advocate for sexual assault victims, trauma, but they are also running immigration programs here
Yep.
that I just don't know that people really know about.
I don't think they do either. Yeah, tell us more.
Yes, so they help unaccompanied minors. They are the go-to for unaccompanied minors. They help them find foster homes. They help them get services.
So
teach
this
them
is
English.
immigrants that are coming
Yes.
into our country, and they have no one.
And they have no one.
And there's a lot of
Yes.
people in that situation, right?
Yes, and they
Yeah.
won't have anyone. They determine when they come in, parents have either been killed or they're never going to make it to the United States. So these individuals are minors that are truly on their own. And so they take them in, they help them find these foster homes, they help them learn English if they need to. The LCS staff here speak over 45 different languages. So
Wow.
they give them counseling and trauma services, and they're able to speak to them in their own language, which helps, and help them figure out how to fit into the community. And they do everything from, here's how we can get you a job, to, do you need a bike? We can find people to give you bikes. And that's something that, like, we'll step in and go, hey, we can buy some bikes. that's a pretty easy thing to
Yeah,
do to help
we
somebody
know how to
out.
do that.
Exactly.
But it
So,
can be so profound, that impact.
yes, yeah. And I think just knowing you're not alone. You have a whole community around you, and don't fear will catch you. And I love that. I love that that's what they're doing. And it's really the same approach when you're talking about people that have been traumatized. Don't fear. We're here, and we're going to make you safe. And so
Real support.
Yeah, real support. So I love organizations that do that. And then Shades of Motherhood and the Learning Project.
I've never even heard of them.
Okay, Stephanie Courtney. She is amazing. She's doing amazing things. Recognized very, very quickly that there are major inequalities in healthcare and the way it's provided to people in marginalized communities, people in different income levels. She is helping create a network of doulas that help mothers through their pregnancies, identifying things. And one of the things we helped partner with is she's working with an organization called Four Roots that helps provide boxes of fresh food.
Okay.
They were figuring out that a lot of the mortality issues and things that are happening with women that are pregnant sometimes comes down to just basic nutrition.
Really?
And yeah,
You're like, we can solve this.
we can solve this. Exactly.
That makes sense, though. If you're malnourished, how are you supposed to, get
Exactly.
a baby to grow right?
Right. And, you can develop toxic issues if you don't eat healthy food. And so they partnered with them, and she figured out, with some corporate help, some grant help, things like that, they could feed up to 120 women and the doulas that help them a year with fresh food, fresh box
That's
food
moving the
through
needle.
Four Roots. Exactly. It will save lives. It will save children's lives. It will save babies' lives, and it'll save moms' lives. And the doulas,
Yeah.
who they themselves are struggling out there sometimes. So Stephanie Courtney is amazing. I think we're going to hear her name more and more and more. She's, over Shades of Motherhood, but also the Learning Project. She's running a program called STEP out of the high schools. And it's kind of like a dance troupe, but it's teaching the power of culture, movement, mental health with these young people. And
So
if you-
dance is the vehicle to,
Yeah,
to
well,
pull people together?
Yes, it's dance.
Yeah.
It's beyond dance. I wish I could. The step movement. I mean, in Black communities, they know exactly what it is, and when you watch them, it is amazing. I've seen them perform now twice, and I put it out on my Facebook because I was like, "You've got to check out these kids. It's amazing." The whole room is alive when they are doing their things. So.
Sounds fun.
Yes, and so it all fits together into the community, and she has really tapped into how do you help the Black community here, and she does it at the high school level, at the mom level, and she also does workshops and education and art. They're doing a event at Karl Maxey.
Like
So,
you said,
yeah.
we're going to hear this name soon,
gonna
and
hear
we're going to
her
hear
name.
this organization's.
Yes. Yeah. She's just getting started, and she's Superwoman. I don't know how she does everything she does, but yeah. And then of course,
As often as nonprofit leaders, especially founders, are, right?
yes.
Because they don't have staff, they don't have enough money to do all of it, but they want to.
Yeah.
And somehow they have the infinite energy too.
I know. And she's a phenomenal mom, wife, friend. She's blowing the roof off of it. And then Terrain, of course, everybody knows everything Terrain does. They are
Been around for a while now and doing a lot of great
yes.
work.
Yep.
Bazaar was just a couple weeks ago.
Yes. Ginger started Terrain in 2008. And
I remember the first one.
Yes.
Yeah, I remember
know.
walking into that warehouse going, I don't know what I'm up to here. Let's figure it out.
I know.
And it was like, oh. I
know.
remember that I'm a Spokane native too. I've been
Yes.
around for a long time. And that was, for me, one of those moments where I'm like, oh, things are changing.
Me too.
Yeah?
That is exactly. I asked a friend, "Will you please introduce me to Ginger?" And one of the first things I said to her was, "I feel like Spokane's finally changing. I'm cautiously optimistic." And she said, "Me too, cautiously optimistic." And I mean, it's been.
How real. That's great.
It's true. Yeah. It's so true. But it's been awesome to watch what she has turned that organization into, and Jackie Caro as her partner there has been amazing as well. But Starry Financial just worked out with them. One of the things that saved my life, throughout my life, I often say, without music, I would not have been who I was, who I am. I wouldn't have met my husband. I wouldn't have most of the friends I have. I go to music for everything. It's how I refresh myself. It's how I feel motivated. And so I try to find ways to encourage that. So we just put together where we sponsor their live music stages at both Terrain and Bazaar. So if you were at Bazaar, you probably saw the stage.
I wasn't there. I was out of town.
Yep. It was great. And it's so much fun because she always finds good new musicians that need some exposure. And we will be sponsoring it again at the big Terrain in the fall.
I'll be there.
Yes. And so, yes, go and check out the live music. And yeah, it's it also
the music scene in Spokane is pretty deep too.
It's so awesome. It's diverse and great and accessible. I'm
one of my friends is kind of a photographer in the scene. His name's Adam Darling, and so I've been following him, for quite some time, and I've just known him forever. But like what he's expressing through his Instagram and whatnot, I'm like, wow, this is cool. Like Spokane's hip, and there's some great storytelling being told through music.
Absolutely. I was lucky enough to serve on a board with TS The Solution, and just watching what he's doing, what he has done for the music scene here and for young people. He's another person. Devontae's going to be, he's making a name for himself here too, doing some really cool stuff. So yeah, I do want to give a shout out to people for Terrain. They have their Terrain Table coming up. Have you heard of Terrain Table?
No.
They do an amazing fundraiser every summer. It's on August 9th, $200 a ticket, totally worth it. You go out into the middle of this big, huge field, and
do you wear all white?
Yes.
I have heard of this.
Yes.
Someone that works for us, his name's John Booze, and he's an artist with Twisted Booze.
Yes.
And he said he had bought tickets and was there maybe last year. Do you know him?
No.
Okay.
No,
but this is it.
Margaret, my daughter goes every year, and I'm like, me, August 9th, middle of a field and heat. I just don't know
melting.
that I can do it. Yes, I'd be dying. But everybody there loves it. And they have the best chefs, and it's total farm to table. It's gorgeous. It's a really, really cool event. So yeah, everybody should buy tickets. It sells out every year. Really great way to support them. So.
Well, you heard it here, everybody. Yeah, you want to go someplace to have a lot of fun. That Terrain Table.
Yes, wear white.
Yeah, wear white. Reflect that sun. I remember one of something that organization was doing was basically standing up artists that had business ideas. Mm-hmm. And that I thought was also a transformative moment in our community. I was like, oh, it's art as business, or just these ideas we can grow our community that way. Yeah. And like I remember watching like Art Salvage was one of the folks kind of pitching and developing their idea. It's like, and that is a mainstay here in Spokane now.
Yes.
It's not only, taking things out of the waste stream, but like helping art be even more accessible because it is inexpensive to go there.
Yes. Well, and they're behind From Here in River Park Square. That's Terrain is who put that storefront up, and you can get custom made art in there very accessibly at great prices and amazing. There's some beautiful pottery in there. So yeah, she's really, she puts her money where her mouth is. She really, the three tenets that Terrain, she told me, was founded on was trust, relationships, and mutuality. And if you look at everything they do, you see those three tenets come through in everything they do.
Just threaded.
Yep.
Well, it sounds a lot like you, putting your money where your mouth is.
I'm trying.
And yeah. I just, I got told a little bit earlier that, you were voted the most influential individual in philanthropy.
One of 21.
Okay. Well, 21 out of, the 500,000 people who are in Spokane County. That's pretty incredible. But I can understand why. Like, you're intentional about what you want to support and helping move the needle on some of these issues that matter to you.
I try to be.
Yeah.
I always laugh. I'm not sure I like influencer titles, but if I can influence people to be more involved and help your community around you, I'll wear that badge all day. I would love that. I just think people don't know sometimes that even just showing up to something can help build something bigger.
Well, let's talk about that, because here, this is a great moment to influence our listeners.
Yeah.
Because a lot of them want to connect. They want to, help in whatever they care about, right? So, yeah, where do you start? Well, showing up, I hear that.
Yeah.
Tell us what's on your mind around that.
Well, for me, I looked at what do I love? And like I said, music was where it kind of started. And I started trying to figure out, well, how can I help where that starts? And the program Girls Rock Lab surfaced very quickly, and I went, I want to help that program. Some of the stuff the library is doing now, it blows my mind. If you can help at a young age, that's great. And I also do try to look at, can I help at an age where it can really make a difference for a lifetime? For me, those are the kind of things that I looked at. And then I just went out and I started reading. If you read Trending Northwest or you read The Inlander, you will find that there are things going on every weekend that has something to do with helping some part of the community. And I feel like if you dive into what you're passionate about, you're going to love it. And you're going to find out that you make a big difference no matter what you're doing. If you can write a check, write a check. If you can't, just show up.
Yep.
Be a participant. And if you can volunteer. I know everybody needs volunteers right now.
Yep.
Pandemic really hurt a lot of nonprofits with their volunteers because everything shut down. So, yeah.
I think it's all great advice, especially the idea. It's like, what do you love?
Yeah.
What do you care about?
Yes.
And just start there. I know we were talking about looking at some of those publications, seeing what's happening. I might also encourage, it's like, just take that next step. Like, call if you're comfortable, text, email. Just ask the question, be like, hey, how can I help?
Yeah.
You'll be, everyone's surprised, right? Like, how welcomed you'll be into an organization, and or if they don't need your help, they will free you.
Yes.
To go look at something else too.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I think every person I've ever partnered with would love to just take an incoming call. Even somebody just saying, hey, what do you do? As a matter of fact, that's what I did with Stephanie Courtney. I kept seeing her name pop up, and I kept seeing the work she was doing on the ground. And I just messaged her and said, hey, can we have coffee? I want to learn more about what you do. And she met me for an hour, and my mind was blown away. And I was tired just thinking about what her day looks like, but absolutely committed to helping with whatever she needs, because she's doing the hard work, and I just appreciate that. But yeah, I mean, yeah, pick up the phone. It's the best thing to do. I help people retire, and one of the things that I have seen is that if you find a passion that you have, or a way that you can give back to the community you love, or what you love. Like, I've seen people turn literally after retirement, become master gardeners,
right,
and do things like that. It really makes your life happier. I've also seen people retire that had no plan, and they didn't pursue what they wanted to do, and people told them, well, volunteer, and they just volunteer at the first thing that comes across, and they don't enjoy it
because they're not connected.
Yeah, they're not connected. They don't have that feeling. And so I really encourage people, starting in your 50s, even earlier if you can, but really starting in your 50s, start figuring out what you really love around you and try to find a way to be a part of it ongoing. And your retirement will be a lot better for you.
It'll be richer.
It'll be richer, fuller, yes.
Oh, that resonates so much. My dad, he just retired like a couple weeks ago.
Oh my goodness. I know. Tell him congratulations.
I shall. He listens to this. So
yes.
yeah, congratulations for Michelle.
Yes.
And we talk a lot about like, hey, what's your plan? What are you thinking about? And I don't know if he thought about that 15 years ago.
Yeah.
And so now he's really going through that process right now. And I love that advice.
It is the secret to retirement. I know everybody always thinks about the monetary side, but I will tell you the monetary side, we can, good financial advisors, we figure that out for you. The better part of it is, what are you going to do to emotionally feed yourself? Because you're going to need that. And that is what creates successful retirement. And I mean, really, we do a lot of that. And in Starry Financial, we do a lot of that because that's what our business is all about too. So, yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. You're helping drive change in our community and help people, live a happier retirement. You have a really unique perspective on, what gets talked about in the newspaper all the time right now, this huge giant transfer of wealth that's coming.
Mm-hmm.
Could you help us understand like what that actually means and how people are trying to engage, like where their money goes?
That is such a big question. Oh,
that's what we do here on Good Gab. We solve the world's problems. No,
no, it's really funny because I have been reading about the, huge transfer of wealth since 1999, and it is happening.
So there may be a buzzword more than...
No, it is happening, but I also see that people are figuring out where do I want my money to go? What is going to be important? How can I direct my investments to companies and organizations and things that I feel work better for me and my value system? And so we do see a lot of people doing that. But the reality is we do have a very widening equality issue, and
right.
Hopefully people will start voting in regards to that. I mean, I think the Supreme Court over the last 2 days has kind of pushed people into having to recognize that.
Certainly.
And, that eventually there will have to be changes and shift that. We have had too much going to a group of people that they'll just keep investing and, keep growing, where there's a whole other group of people that could use that. And then there's this middle group of people that are trying to do what this top group of people should be doing. And eventually I do think we will see a balancing, because we have in the past,
Makes sense.
We used to see a very wide gap. If you go back into, 1930s, 1940s, there was a very wide gap. And eventually people caught on and went, hey, no.
Yeah, we got to rebalance.
We got to rebalance. And I really do think we will. So
I love hearing that. And I'm thinking too, just more of like, if folks are, thinking about their life legacy and whatnot, like if they were a client of yours,
yes.
Like what would you advise them to do? Who would you connect them with if they wanted to make a planned giving kind of
well, first they'd
deal.
work with us.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
We would help them, and then we would recommend good estate attorneys, who we have a handful of great ones here in Spokane. And yeah, also maybe meeting some of the heads of nonprofits that people are happy with. I have actually done that with clients. If I know that they're very passionate about something, then I will introduce them to people that work in that area.
That's cool.
Work in those nonprofits so that they are aware of what they do. And then we also have some community trusts here locally that can help work with people on that as well.
Like we know Anovia. What's another? Yes. Is there others?
Anovia is the biggest one right now. There was Community Northwest, but I'm not sure if they're actively doing it anymore. So, yeah.
But there are outlets.
There are, and actually, I mean, if you like, a lot of people are pretty hooked in with the symphony, and the symphony has a list of really good resources for people. They have been doing this for a long time here locally, so they are very connected to everybody as well.
Well, thank you for your insight on that. Just appreciate you sharing some of your experience and how to connect. I'm also curious, your lifetime Spokane person. We both remember and I love that we shared that moment, the first train, like, oh, things are different.
Yes.
I want to know, what are you excited about right now for our community and our future?
Oh, I'm really excited that the arts community is coming up the way it is. The music community is coming up the way it is. I tell my kids, they're not kids anymore. But anyway, I tell my family, when I was young, we did not have options on a Friday or Saturday night. We had to create options. They were not there. And now, I mean, I get too tired to be able to do everything that we can do. But every Friday, Saturday, Sunday even, I mean, there are tons of things going on. Thank you to, Carly Ingersoll. Look at Lucky You Lounge. Everything that is happening, really giving space to people. We just didn't have that.
Yep.
And I think it makes a safer, more diverse, more creative community. This library blows my mind. I mean, if we had this even, resources here.
I would have been living here.
Yes, exactly. Well, it was funny. I had my husband drop me off and I said, do you want to come in and sit? And he was like, no, I'm going to the library. I'm going to check out the library. So yeah, I mean, I think that we have had especially the last 10 years, some really good focus on making Spokane a really cool place to live. And we see it. We see it by the work of, Terrain and the organizations I'm talking about, the Lands Council. I've so many places that are really focused on, hey, let's look at what can help our community here. And so, yeah, the art and the music scenes are huge. Also, I'm just going to put a shout out to the culinary scene, which in the last 5 years is just wow. And I do think we have some great culinary destinations here and winemakers. I mean, our
we're in the
hospitality
zone
industry.
right now.
Oh, yeah. so much. We've got some great chefs. We've got great winemakers. That's kind of my passions. I love to go out, have a great dinner, see a great show, go home, have a nice glass of wine. It's like, yes.
And you get to do that.
Yes.
It's relatively accessible right now.
Yes, absolutely.
Great point.
Yeah.
Well, Michelle, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
You know what? You might be one of 21 of the most influential, but you're number one for the Good Gabbers.
Thank you.
So, yeah, thank you for joining us. It's just been a real pleasure.
Thank you. This was really fun.
Yeah.